Well, welcome back to the Prospect Hunt. Hopefully you like this video and hit that subscribe button. We're talking about the Mets 2025 draft class. I know 2025 might go down as a complete total historic disaster, but the draft will not be a disaster, I don't think. As for Mets and Rise, they do a great job. They do a great job. I thank them always. Amazing Evie does a great job. Rice Apple does a great job. Checking in on the Mets 2025 draft class, they do this. After 2 months post-draft, a handful of the Mets selections have already made their professional baseball debut. Not everyone plays. Most pitchers and high school players don't. But Mets have had 8 of their draft picks make their debuts. It's important to emphasize that these initial debuts don't mean much, especially for an organization so skilled at developing players, because the players who are active are going straight into games before any long-term development by the Mets can make an impact and have an impact. However, how they are doing is still, at the very least, interesting to look at as we go through this. First up, infield of the first round, Mitch Voit. First round pick at number 38 overall, the Michigan University product played in 22 games for Single A St. Lucie to begin his professional career. He didn't have a ton of success at the plate, hitting .235. He had an on-base percentage of .343, 294 slugging percentage for .637 OPS, which is not bad, with 1 home run and 2 doubles. He did play better in his final 11 games than his first 11, hitting .312, .302, and .842 OPS with all 3 of his extra base hits to close out the year. What he did do well was steal bases, swiping 20 and 21 tries, an absurd number in that he just played 22 games. He also made his fair share of defensive highlights and spent time at 3 spots in the infield. He mainly played second, but got a handful of games at short and 1 in third. He also played some outfield in college, and his athleticism could help provide some big-time defensive versatility to his game. Voit was a two-way player through his sophomore year of college and has only focused exclusively on hitting for 1 year. In that season, significantly improved at the plate. The hope is that with more time devoted solely to hitting, he can unlock more of his potential, similar to how Nolan McLean and Carson Bench have elevated their game after dropping two-way status. As you know, Nolan McLean went from a two-way player to a pitcher, and Carson Bench went from a two-way player to an everyday player. And of course, you know they went to the school of Oklahoma State, and they're doing a great job. And Nolan McLean might be the Mets ace. The third round pick, Antonio Jimenez, an infielder. Mets didn't have a second round pick, which makes third rounder Anderson. Jimenez, their second selection of the draft. They should edit this. A significant underslot signing, Jimenez. Best trait coming out of the draft was his potential to hit for power at a middle infield position. As is the story of many, there were some contact concerns to go with it. In his first 26 games of Single A, it's oddly been the opposite. Jimenez only struck out 13.6% of the time, a well above average mark, also running above average contact rates. However, he didn't hit the ball very hard and didn't elevate it much when he did. He produced just a 0.11 ISO, product of 1 extra base hit in 110 plate appearances. Jimenez played mostly shortstop, but also played a handful of games at third, and has the arm strength and glove to stick at either position. Okay, now we skip a little bit. Tyler McLaughlin, a right-handed pitcher in the 10th round. For pitchers, especially in small sample sizes, stats like ERA don't really matter. McLaughlin is the perfect example. He gave 2 earned runs in 2 and a third innings. That's a 7.71 ERA, ugly. But in such a small sample size, rate stats like ERA are far from relevant. That's not that important. Instead, look at the stuff. It looked really solid. All 3 variations of his fastball looked good, and the slider and curveball looked good enough for this point in his development. There are things to work with here. The 12th round pick is Truman Pauly, right-handed pitcher. Saying ERA doesn't matter in small sample sizes, cuts both ways. Pauly was great statistically, giving up 1 earned run in 4 and a third innings, a 2.08 ERA. He actually never gave up a hit, but walked 4. Pauly's stuff also plays. He's got 18.9 inches of IVB on his four-seam fastball plus number, and got good results from it. The slider also looked good, and it looks like he tested it out a handful of other pitchers too, or they were just tagged wrong. He just didn't throw a lot of strikes. Next up is Zach Mack, 16 rounder, and he's a right-handed pitcher. Mack Zach Mack, what a great name. He threw 1 in the 3rd innings, scoreless in 2 games for St. Lucie, and allowed just 1 base runner on a walk. Now, I would mention all these players, all 19 players that Mets drafted this year, have a video, and it's in a playlist for the 2025 draft for the Mets on this channel. His stuff didn't jump off the page, and it looks like he'd be better served leaning into the sinker or cutter instead of the underwhelming four-seamer. He also hit the injured list at the end of the season. 17th rounder, Sam Robertson, an infielder. Sam Robinson struggling in his cup of coffee with the St. Lucie Mets. No other way around did he hit 172 with 466 OPS and 0 extra base hits while striking out over 1/3 of the time. He drew a handful of walks. But other than that, there wasn't really anything redeeming about his 20 games. The only thing to say, really, it's just 20 games. In the 19th round, Joe Scarborough, right-handed pitcher. Scarborough pitched to his 27 ERA. Yikes, in other words. He threw 2/3 of an inning and gave up 2 earned runs. He had troubles issuing free passes in his lone outing. But the stuff looked good. He has a quality sinker. Yes, that's basically all he threw. But the handful of other pitches he tossed looked solid. For a 19th round pick, even 1+ pitch like the sinker is a big win. And finally, in the 20th round, is Garrett Stratton, a right-handed pitcher. Stratton made it into 1 game this season and threw a clean inning, which of course is never a bad thing. He only threw 10 pitches, and none of them were breaking pitches. So there's really not much to go on here. For a pitcher making their professional debut, though, it's not uncommon to see them just come throwing cut darts and only darts. We'll get a look at the rest of the arsenal next year. So these are the 8 players that the Mets played this year in the minor leagues. Some players are not gonna play this year. Obviously the minor league season's over. Maybe some of them will go into winter ball. Maybe some of them won't. But a lot of them will get a good look in spring training next year in the minor league camps. And of course, I want to let you know, I want to thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to the Prospect Hut, and I'll see you later.